He's either, the most charitable interpretation is the Titanic is sinking, I've got a life raft for my family, but anyone else who challenged Trump, you better swim or you're drowning.
But disappointed that there wasn't one kind thing to say about the outgoing administration.
We know that this administration is a vengeful one.
Many Americans are very excited for Trump's presidency. They are waiting for him to enforce his policies and procedure that is going to help our country grow. Now, the ladies on The View is not happy about this, and possibly because they just don't like Trump. They're not a fan of his policies. They're not a fan of the procedures that he wants to put in place, and they make this known. Take a look.
I was really disappointed, not surprised, just to be clear, but disappointed that there wasn't one kind thing to say about the outgoing administration. Because even...
Au contraire, he was merciless to the outgoing.
That's my point. And he couldn't even muster up one small thing to say, thank you for kindly welcoming us back, or something. It was a kind of a gut punch of sorts.
Well, that's not...
But why would he need to say anything nice about the Biden administration? I mean, at the end of the day, these people, they tried to get him put in jail. They tried to diminish his name. They insinuated that this man was a healer. They had no good things to say about Donald Trump. So why would you expect him to have any good things to say about the administration that got us where we are today?
He is, and I decided to protect my peace and celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day yesterday. So I did not watch the inauguration. My sorority sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated had a service day in Harlem.
This is another thing I want to talk about, guys. They didn't even watch the speech or anything like that, but this is what I mean. You're on television. You're supposed to be a professional journalist or whatever it is that you're putting out to the media. And you don't even watch the things that you don't like because you just don't like them. What does that have to do with your job and reporting news and reporting the facts? And this is the issue when it comes to Democratic people. They don't want to hear the other side, but how can you actually give factual information if you're not even willing to be professional and listen to the other side?
I did think about was the hypocrisy of having a man be inaugurated to be president on the same day as we commemorate MLK, and that same man saying that he was going to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Martin Luther King not only wanted racial equality, he wanted economic equality.
But Trump also do want the same thing. Guys, Martin Luther King wouldn't want diversity, equity, inclusion because Dr. Martin Luther King believed that as Black people or, people of color, that we can work just as hard and gain the same positions. Diversity and equity inclusion discriminate against other people who are not minorities, even if they are highly qualified. And that's a problem. That would be, first off, like a charity case, number one. And number two, Martin Luther King was all about us being able to strive for what we want and get the things and the opportunities that we need based on our merit and not the color of our skin. So Trump also is in favor of the same thing, based on merit and not the color of our skin. And also, what are they supposed to do? Change the inauguration day because it was on Martin Luther King Day? No, I think it's beautiful that Martin Luther King and the inauguration was on the same day, guys. Let's not be nitpicky and do too much.
Something that people tend to miss, and I want to remind people that he said that Black Americans deserved reparations for the injustices they faced. He argued that reparations were a form of justice, in fact, not charity. And he said, quote, "It's all right to tell a man to lift himself by his own bootstraps, but it is cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps."
Yeah.
And that's the thing, guys. We are not bootless. We have the same advantages. And not even if we don't have the same advantages, we have those advantages to pick ourselves up. We do have those bootstraps. It's not like when MLK was here. Segregation, separation, division. It's not like that, like legally. And Black people are not told, oh, you can't have this because you're a Black and this is only for whites. That's not what's happening right now. So Black people, just like her, and I think she's Black. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But just like Whoopi Goldberg, any person of color has opportunities. That's a bootstrap. That's something to get you going. And yes, everybody's opportunities is different because their circumstances is different, but that doesn't mean that they can accomplish anything. So, yeah.
And so in thinking about that, and Donald Trump saying things that this country would be a meritocracy, you're talking about a man who didn't become the president of the United States because of merit. He had no political experience whatsoever. He had no business experience. He was given everything that he has. He is a legacy hire. He is, if anything, a DEI hire, a didn't earn it hire. And so
he did earn it. This man was not liked at one point. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with Donald Trump. They thought he was insane. They thought it was nuts. And he came up and he became the most popular vote. And he knew exactly what this country needed. He had the experience. He definitely has the business education. Yes, did he have a head start? Yes. A lot of people had a head start. When you look back in their life, they had a head start. LeBron's son got a head start. There's nothing wrong with a head start. But what we can't do is just say that he didn't get his position off of merit, because to go through what he went through, that takes merit. That takes endurance. That takes perseverance. That takes experience. And that takes knowledge. He knew what he was talking about. And that's why he got voted in, because he knew what he was talking about. He knew economics. He knows this country. He knows what we need. He knows what we don't need. He knows what's going on. He's very, very aware. That's merit. Now, Sonny, what's not merit is when you need legal notes because you're spitting out untruthful facts. Well, they're not even facts. You're spitting out information that's not true, and you need to be corrected. That's giving DEI higher to me. What y'all think?
Watched it. I always watched the inauguration. I was covering it for CNN as well. But I was watching and thinking it's time to retire the phrase normalizing Donald Trump. Donald Trump is normalized, whether you like it or not. 75 million people voted for him. He is now as much a part of American history as George Bush, Barack Obama, and any other two-term president. And I was shocked by the imagery of he left 4 years ago in disgrace. He left. Barely anyone showed up when he announced his reelection 2 years ago.
Nobody wanted. They didn't want anything to do with Trump, me included. I wasn't even on the Trump train at all. Like, I was like, I don't want nothing to do with Trump. So,
and now he came back to D.C. like a conquering king. He had the biggest titans of industry there. He had celebrities. He had fashion designers. He had Democrats and every former president there. And I think that it's a moment to take note of why he won and the reasons that he did, but also Democrats are not a footnote in this. They had 4 years to beat him. They had the chance to make a case against him. 4 years ago, they had the White House, the House, the Senate, and Silicon Valley. Now they have none of those above. My posture is this. You guys know my criticisms of Donald Trump. They remain. I'm going to pray for the president. I'm going to thank him when he does things that are good, like the hostage deal. I commend him. I am grateful for that. And I'm going to call it out when he does things that are reckless and dangerous. Getting the Israeli hostages and American hostages. And I'm going to call it.
Exactly. So that is merit. And again, when Trump does something wrong, you call it out, because he's not a perfect human being. Nobody's a perfect human being. We don't just not hold somebody accountable because we like them. We always hold each other accountable. That's the only way people grow. That's the only way you get better in life. That's the only way you progress and succeed in life, is to be accountable. So whenever you are wrong, you are able to be corrected. So, all right, next they're going to go into Biden's pardon and him pardoning his whole family. And to me, I'm going to tell y'all right now, that just sets a bad example for the next president to come, which is Trump and whoever after him.
Floored that Joe Biden pardoned his whole family. And let me tell you why. He's either the most charitable interpretation is the Titanic is sinking. I've got a life raft for my family, but anyone else who challenged Trump, you better swim or you're drowning. That's my most charitable interpretation. And finally, he didn't do anything to protect people who testified against Donald Trump unless they happen to be wrapped up with the police officers. And it sets a very dangerous precedent. Now Donald Trump can basically advise staff and his family to do anything unlawful and then just issue a blanket pardon when he leaves office. I think it was disgraceful and it's going to harm his legacy.
Agreed. I think that was disgraceful. I think it is going to harm his legacy. I think he set a bad example for the president to come because, like she said, now the president can just allow his family to do whatever they want and then be pardoned. Now, hopefully Trump doesn't do that. Hopefully Trump has more integrity than that in that area. But that does set a very bad example. And as you can see, how he's operating now shows you who was in control and the type of administration that was leading us was just corrupt in general.
As I was not offended by Biden pardoning his family because I think,
clearly,
just like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you or tells you who they are, believe them the first time.
Right.
We've already had a Trump presidency. We know that this administration is a vengeful one. We know this is a vengeful man. And
is the administration a vengeful administration or is it a correction administration, correcting the corruption? That's what it's given to me. So I don't know what she's talking about, but it just seems like Trump is not on a revenge tour. It just seems like he's trying to correct what's been corrupted.
I can protect me and mine. I would do that. And so I think we need to show Joe Biden some grace.
Of course you would, because you got your criminal husband with that RICO case, so we know that you will pardon your family members. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. If you disagree with anything I said, put it in the comments. I do think that these women are professional haters. They're premium haters. They don't really truly understand what's going on. They're not professional in the sense of understanding and coming to know what's going on. Regardless of whether you like somebody or not, you still need to watch or know what they're planning or what they're enforcing so that you can be better at your job in giving facts and not information based on your emotions and how you feel. But the fact that a lot of them didn't even watch the speech told me everything I need to know about even how they got hired in the first place. Because if you can't even muscle up enough to be able to watch somebody that you don't like, especially when it has to do about information that ties into the policies and procedures that's going to take effect in this country that you live in, I don't want to listen to you because you strike me as the type of person who don't want to be informed. You strike me as the type of person who, in their emotions, they check out and they don't push forward. And that's just something I wouldn't want to listen to in media. I would want somebody to know all the information, all the facts, regardless of whether they agree with it or disagree with it, so they can give me accurate information and not have to get legal notes all the time because they're just spitting out their emotional, thoughts and opinions. But anyways, what do you guys think? Again, if you disagree, put it in the comments. I will see you guys in my next video. Stay blessed.